Welcome to the Centric Behavioral Health podcast, where we talk all things mental health and substance abuse. If you or a loved one is struggling with mental health or substance abuse issues, please call our caring team now at 866-271-8480 to start your healing journey. Again, that number is 866-271-8480 to start your healing journey today. This podcast shares recovery journeys and mental health discussions. If you find this content uncomfortable, please feel free to click away and take a breather. Our goal is to share our experiences and let you know that you are not alone. Hey guys, welcome to the Centric podcast. I'm Danny and I'm joined with...
My name is Jennifer. I'm the administrative assistant here at Centric.
And I'm Morgan. I'm the executive assistant and family advocate.
So today's topic is about life before and after treatment. So here at Centric, a lot of the people who work here have stories about going through recovery and coming out through the other side, because recovery is actually 100% possible, as we can see. Like, it is, I'm studying my words hardcore today. But I'm going to keep going. So I'm here and I just wanted to ask some questions, mainly about, how did it feel before, how did it feel during, and then how did it feel after? Because I think my goal at the end of the day is really just to get whoever is listening out there a chance to feel like, that's me, or I'm going through it, or I'm, where whatever stage you are in this timeline, know that it is that people like, I swear to God, I'm like I'm eating my words right now and it's horrible. I'm okay. It was not like this yesterday. I swear to you. I swear to you. And I have the questions out here too, so I'm like okay. I guess without further ado, I'm just gonna go right into the questions here. And I think I'm gonna start with Jen. So can you describe a moment in your life uh, before you decided to go into treatment?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Like a feeling or
Or just like, paint a picture of what you were going through during that time, the before seeking treatment.
so I mean at one point in my life, I wasn't able to hold a job anymore. I just felt hopeless, um, tired, you know, all the lying, the cheating, the stealing. It just became very overwhelming and I didn't know where else to turn. So I went to detox.
That's awesome. And then, um, do you recall the moment in time where you were, that was in the before, but what was that turning point where you're like, I am going to detox?
Um, yeah, I mean, I do have children, and there was a point in time where they were not in my lives at the moment. And I had nobody, all my family members, everybody had turned their back on me,. But rightfully so. I did that to myself, and I wanted to go to detox. I wasn't exactly ready yet. It took me 8 different trips to detox to finally get it. Um, and after trying all of my ways and what I thought was best for me, and I just finally had to give up and just know that I I wasn't running the show here. So, um, once I gave up, here I am, you know.
And that, like, I'm not running the show anymore. Is that just kind of like you're releasing control of what you're doing with your life, or how you felt like you were like taking control of your life, or was this more just like, take me, I'm gonna do better for myself?
Well, I had all these, I thought I knew like what I was doing. So I would go to detox and come home and say, well, I can just drink, or I can just do this substance for 1 or 2 days and stop. And I learned along the way that I couldn't, you know. So I'm an addict and I can't put any form of any substance in my body.
So, moving into the after the treatment, how do you kind of like make sure that you're putting the right things in place for yourself for keeping that sober life?
I got rid of all my old friends, and luckily, some of them have made it into my life again, which is really beautiful. But I have like a circle of women that I call my tribe that I reach out to every day. I have a sponsor. I have, women like Morgan in my life that, we can talk to each other. If I'm feeling vulnerable about something, I don't not talk about it anymore. In the past, if I was feeling, having feelings, I would be too embarrassed to talk about it. And today I'm like, I feel like I'm a very vulnerable
Very.
person, and I just get it out there. So I'm not like holding it in, you know?
There's no more shame in the keeping everything inside. It's more just like you have the right people who are there to listen to you, to be vulnerable with you. And I mean, that's a beautiful thing to like have your tribe. That's actually was a different episode where I was speaking with Janet about support systems, and I guess that's a question. It's like, what does a support system mean to you? Like having a support system, having your tribe.
Oh, it's very important. You know, um, we we have like a text thread. We all like text each other in the morning. When I get in the car in the morning, I'm reaching out to another addict. I have like a couple people that I reach out to and just like check in, and see how everybody's doing, you know,
Yeah, that's like it's super super important.
and meetings, of course,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think I'll move to Morgan. Um, you know, was there a specific moment in your journey that made you realize that treatment was necessary?
Yes. Um, well, a lot like Jen, I wasn't like a one chip wonder. Like I didn't go to treatment one time. It took me several times to get it. Um, and there were different bottoms that I had. There were physical, mental, emotional, all of that. But the one that really got me was the spiritual bottom. And this was in 2017. I was living at my dad's house. I had been living with my boyfriend prior to that, and he had just overdosed twice. And he left the state, and then I was living with my dad as a grown woman at 26 years old, and then my 14-year-old stepsister was in the room next to me, and I was like on the same level as her. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm grown. Why am I in this situation? Like, I'm 26 years old. Like, I should have a job, a career, kids, and like I had nothing to show for myself. I had no money, no property, really just some clothes and little knickknacks, and that was it. So, I just knew that there had to be something more to life than what I was living, and I just became really, really willing at that point to work hard to not have to feel like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like um it almost like slapped you in the face, the reality of it. It's just like, oh my gosh, like I just want to be different, and I think it's different. I mean, it is different for everyone. I would assume, like, everybody is has a unique story. Everybody has a different way of like what really snaps them out of it. and it's it's very impactful. Okay, yeah, I'm stuttering at this point. Um, do you did you have any fears or misconceptions about treatment before starting the process?
Um, well, it depends on which time we're talking about.
Mhm.
If we're talking about the first time I ever went to treatment, which was whenever I was 21, I literally had no idea about anything. AA, NA, sobriety. I didn't know that I was a drug addict. I just thought that I was a bad person. Um, so I really didn't have an idea of that. And then, which I think was good because I kind of just went in with like a fresh slate, and I thought I was going to go to rehab for like 30 days and then I was going to be good to go for the rest of my life. And my parents did too. I mean, that was like a very, at that time, was a common thing. Like 30 days in treatment was what the standard was then. Of course, now it's, 60, 90, and further beyond that. So, I mean, that's really the only idea that I had. But whenever I first went into treatment, I can't even tell you like how eye opening it was to like so many things about myself. Like I never could have anticipated that. So I didn't really have any misconceptions. And then by the end, whenever I went the last time, it had gotten to a point where it was more about survival. Like I didn't want to die, because my ex had just overdosed. I knew a lot of people that had overdosed and died, and I got really, really sick as well myself. So it kind of came from a place of like desperation. Like I didn't even care where I was going, like I just wanted to get better. So
Survival mode that just kicked in. And same question to you, Jen. Did you have any misconceptions before going into treatment?
I didn't know what to expect. When I went to treatment the first time, I remember feeling like I just could never fit in anywhere. I was always like an outcast. And I remember, being at detox and like everyone around me that like I felt like I fit in for the first time. Like I was like, wow, these people, they get it. Like these are my people. They understand, how I'm feeling and like what's going on, all these thoughts in my head, and like why we tried to figure out like why we used in the first place and where it all stemmed from. And it was really eye-opening for me, because I thought I was the only person in the world that felt the way I did.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular you liked the most when you were in treatment? Any therapy, any self-care, any journaling, anything in the sense of treatment?
I did a lot of journaling. Music therapy was like really interesting to me. I love music, so the groups that we did music therapy or art therapy was like really fun, you know. And the one-on-ones with my therapist, yeah.
Same question to you, Morgan. What was your favorite part of their treatment?
um probably the people that I met. Like Jen was saying, whenever you're in an environment like that, you like trauma bond or whatever,
Yeah.
and you get really close to people. And it's because you like connect on this deep level of like, wow, I didn't know that there were other people in this world that felt like that.
Yeah.
And so you grow this like really deep connection with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friendships that I've had for over a decade now, people that I met whenever I first was going to treatment, who are still like very, very close to me. So I think that that is a really big part of it. And then there were some clinicians, techs, people like that along the way that really had an impact on me, which, subsequently is what inspired me to have the career that I have now, because I want to be able to impact people's lives the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you just never know, like, what you say to someone, or just like listening to them, or holding space for them, it's like such an incredible thing that is so downplayed, and we don't realize how like important that is for people. And I think that also having the opportunity to really look at myself and get to know myself was so important, because, you know, with the substances and drinking and using, I was always trying to escape who I was or how I felt. And I just remember like going into treatment and they would be like, "Oh, what kind of music do you like? What's your favorite color?" And I would be like, "I don't even know." You know what I mean? Like, and that was sad. Like, I'm a grown woman and I don't even know what I like. You know, so it was like this journey of discovery about myself that has been really, really powerful. So to have the opportunity to dive deep with my therapist and groups, I did a lot of self-education as far as like reading books, self-help books, that sort of thing, was really, really powerful for me. So
I think that's awesome. And I mean, obviously, both of you do work in the mental health and substance abuse industries, you know, and I think it's wonderful, especially since like someone like you guys, where it's like you have your stories, you share your stories, and then you inspire the next generation of everybody who's going through recovery right now. You know, how does it feel now transitioning into the career that you're building right now? Morgan, if you want to start.
I mean, that's literally the, like I said, the reason why I do what I do. I was talking to someone about this recently. They were asking like, what was the hardest part of my job, and like, what's the most rewarding? And I'm like, the most rewarding thing is whenever I see someone come in and they're just like drained of life. You know what I mean? They're hopeless and they're just in this place where they're miserable, depressed. And like that was me at one point in time. And to be able to see someone go through the process and that light come back in their eyes and see them, you know, get their shit together and become the amazing human being that God meant them to be, like there's nothing that will ever be able to top that, for me at least. So yeah.
Same for you, Jen. What was like the most like what do you love about your career now?
Um, you know, I can relate with Morgan. Just seeing them, you know, get their families back or be able to hold a job or, you know, just seeing that light go off, you know, to see them passionate about life again is so rewarding. There's no like dollar amount you can put on that, you know, just seeing them so happy. And we like to keep them busy with fun like recovery events, and to see them like actually have fun, you know,
And laugh.
Yeah,
You see this spark,
like the good gut laugh, like that's the
I've
best.
had like the best belly laughs ever in my life whenever I was in treatment.
Yeah.
Like you've been in this darkness for so long.
Yeah.
And then you like meet these group of people and it just like feels so good. Laughter is really like the best medicine in my opinion.
It's like, you know, when people are going through oh, you're going through treatment, you know, it's not like kind of like ending a stigma for society where someone who's going through treatment, they shouldn't feel embarrassed to say that they're doing that, because I mean, as you're seeing, like it's a joyful experience to go through it. And actually, like something kind of reminded me in this conversation where like I was speaking with our CEO, and like he told me that a lot of addicts are very passionate, very like hardworking people. And I think it comes with like, you know, being so immersed into one thing, but then bringing it out and really putting a career, pushing their efforts onto something that they genuinely love to do. So it could be helping people, it could be having a career, it could be going back to school and studying something new. And I think it's pretty interesting because it's like going through treatment and really setting that fire within that person is like a wonderful thing. Um, would Okay, I'm sorry. Just give me a second. I also barely had any sleep last night, so I'm like, If there's any, also like if there's any, because so I don't really personally come from a addiction background or anything of that sort. So sometimes when I'm, talking to you guys, it's almost like I don't want to sound like I'm over explaining or stepping over a boundary when it's like I don't know, I haven't been through where you guys have been through. So I think that's also part of me learning in this podcast where it's like I just really want to I'm just curious.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you're not gonna offend me.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't. You can ask me any question you want to ask.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite color?
Green.
Good. Mine too. That was a trick question.
Oh, wow, I passed.
So, but yeah, no, I think I'm going to continue. And I think, asking for advice for someone out there. Jen, do you have any advice to someone who is considering treatment but is a little bit hesitant, doesn't really feel like they're really ready to go in there? Um, what would what would you say to them?
I would say to really just take the time to work on yourself and just stop beating yourself up about everything and just take some time for yourself and just get the help that you need cuz you're worth it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And Morgan, same question. What kind of advice do you have for someone who's a little bit hesitant to go into treatment?
Um. Well, it's the best thing that you'll ever do with your life. Um. I can't imagine where I would be if I had not decided to get sober. And the being the topic of this podcast of like before and after, my life before and like my life now is just such a stark difference. Like my cup is so full. My heart is so full. Like I have the most amazing friends. I have my daughter. I have an amazing career. I'm healthy, and all of those things are priceless. So I know whenever you're like going into it and you're still using and things like that, it seems very scary, especially if you're going to have withdrawal symptoms and all of that, and like having to feel those feelings. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say like it was fun, because it wasn't fun all the time. Like, we had laughs and I had a good time, but it was a very serious thing, and it's not easy to look at yourself. But it's definitely worth it in the long run, because now today I'm able to be able to show up for my daughter, be able to show up for my mom, for my family members, for my friends, which I never was at a capacity to be able to do that before. So even though, looking at it, you might be like, oh, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days is such a long time. And I mean, I guess it kind of is, but in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, it's not. It's like a little tiny speck. And to be able to like just take some time for yourself to change your entire life is a blessing. And it was the best thing that I ever did, other than giving birth to my child. So, um, I get being afraid, and we like to stay in what's comfortable for us, and all of that. But if you're brave enough and you have the right support, um, the possibilities are endless.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just out of curiosity, you know, with it being substance abuse, because I know like with mental health it's a little bit different, but you know, because before your whole life was consumed by the addiction, where it was like you had to just use this substance all the time. You're going through treatment. How do you is there like a trigger or something, like when someone is like, oh, let me offer you alcohol or let me offer you this, do you just like no, do you put like stoppers on it, do you remember like all your steps, like how does that, I'm just kind of curious.
Um, well, that question can be answered differently through all the phases of my recovery, because in the beginning, I would just avoid people that I knew did drugs or drank alcohol or whatever, because I didn't even want to be put in that position. And now, almost 7 years in, I'm comfortable with saying no. And I'm okay with that. And I found that most people respect that. But it's not always an easy thing, but I'm just like, yeah, no, like I'm good. I'm just high on life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just, yeah, sometimes it's just making a joke of it and saying no and just moving on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like exposure therapy. Like the more you do it and the more you're in those situations, the easier it gets. At first it was very uncomfortable. I didn't want to be around anyone that was using or smoking weed or drinking alcohol. I was like, stay away from me. And now it's just different because, I mean, obviously, like I think I'm more mature, I'm older, and that kind of thing. But people will do what they want to do, and that's fine. And I'm gonna do what I want to do, and that's fine. So, yeah. Mm.
I mean, same question here, Jen.
So I also work at a restaurant, very part-time, and I work with, people that aren't in recovery. I'm the only one there in recovery, and they drink after our shift. And when I first got that job, I was a little concerned, because I was like different than everyone else. I didn't, I wasn't sure like what that was going to look like, and I just like laid it out there. Someone asked me one night to go out back and smoke a joint with them, and I just told everybody. I said, "Listen, I'm in recovery, and I'm just not going to join you." Or like sometimes now if they're taking a shot, like I'll get like some pineapple juice and like do it with them. I mean, that's not
It's not like you're not
something you should
participating
do
with them.
like in early recovery, but I have 9 years, and today I can sit at the bar with them and count my money at the end of the shift while they're all drinking and pretend to do a shot, because it makes them feel like I'm part of the crowd. I don't know.
People get offended when you don't want to drink with them.
Yeah, or I had a table that like closed on a house one night, and they insisted on buying me a shot. So I told the bartender, just like, whatever, put some juice, because they wanted to celebrate with me, So I mean, it is what it is. We get through it,
And it's like,
and life is great. I don't want to I don't need to take a shot to, enjoy my day. So it's fine.
I want to keep filling up time because I just feel like most of the most of this video is kind of like just me stuttering or me going, "Oh, I can't do this." So, I mean, if you have anything else you want to mention, anything specific, anything notable, I think like what we're talking about right now is like really great as a general sense. I don't know if we want to go maybe a little bit more specific towards like like some of the struggles that you guys went through kind of during treatment and like what you learned from those struggles to now. If that's a good question to ask. If anything, again, you can stop me at any point and be like, that is rude or that I don't like that. Like we'll reword. Let's reword this. I might offend someone on YouTube. I don't know.
I think something that comes up for me is healthy boundaries, because like having healthy boundaries with friendships, family members, that's something that came up for me in early recovery. Like actually learning how to protect myself for, for whatever reason. I can't think of a specific thing, but I'm trying to think right now, but I don't know, just healthy boundaries.
Like, what does a healthy boundary mean to you? At least if you have like an example of that.
I don't know, being invited somewhere and just saying no, it's not good for me. You know, I'm not going to go. Well, what do you mean you're not going to go? No, I'm not going to go because it's not a healthy environment for me. And, like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's perfect. Just like one whole like stop. No, that's it. Well,
Repeat the question.
so Morgan, same question. What is a certain like life lesson, something that you went through in early treatment that you take with now after?
So I think one of the more difficult things that I dealt with was emotional regulation, self regulation, um, self validation, that kind of thing. My emotions were like so out of control. I have depression and anxiety, and that's why I used was to mask those things. And then whenever I got sober, I didn't have anything to cover that up anymore. And it's kind of a jarring experience to like sit sober and like look at yourself and look at your defects. And I would be like all up in my feelings all the time. I'm not going to say that I'm not now because I still get that way, but I know how to regulate and how to calm myself down and how to set boundaries like Jen was talking about, in order to not get to that place. How to, like she was saying, protect myself. Whether that's from friends, family, work life, dating life, like it doesn't matter. It was more of finding like my voice again and being centered in who I am. Um, yeah, and I just know that steps 6 and 7 was really hard for me because those are the steps where you have to look at your character defects and your behaviors that are not, good, I guess. And that was really hard for me to do. I don't think it's easy for anyone to do, honestly. But those steps were really painful for me. But the amount of growth that I gained going through that and learning, like, hey, I don't have to cuss somebody out every time they make me mad, or I don't have to have this big, huge reaction whenever something doesn't go my way. Emotional regulation, like just keeping myself calm and rational, because in addiction, we're so like erratic and irrational. We're not thinking with the forefront of our brain. So we make bad decisions. So to be able to keep myself calm, keep myself out of situations that are going to trigger me from not being calm, or that's going to upset me, or people that are going to upset me, was really really big for me, because once I get worked up, if whether that's like I'm angry or sad or whatever, it takes a little bit for me to come back down. So that's probably been one of the bigger moving pieces for me that I have somewhat conquered. Like I said, not all the time, but
You're never fully like it's never an end all be all. It's a continuous journey. Like, some and yeah, like it's recovery is never just a hard stop. You did 30 days, you're perfect. You can go home, you can talk to your friends and be, oh, I'm sober, It's an ongoing forever thing. Like how did you feel day one after leaving treatment?
I was very nervous. Yeah. Yeah, I was very, very nervous. Leaving treatment, I went right over to an outpatient treatment center. Like, so they loaded us up in the van. I went to a different facility and signed up for outpatient treatment. And then from there, I went right to my sober living. So, my story is that I'm from down here. So I went right back to the neighborhood that I grew up in high school. Like literally the spot that I smoked did my very first substance, I will say. Fast forward years later, I ended up managing a halfway on that same exact street. So I literally had to dig in and like do some work because I didn't get to do a geographical change at all. So yeah.
It's not like you can just kind of drop everything and just go and everything's fine. But I think it's wonderful. Like also even just going through the motions of I've done like you remember all the spots in which you were doing something and then you're like, no, I'm gonna change this.
Yeah. So now it's a different perspective.
Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's like it's really strong of you. I'm really brave of you to do that and then help other people along the way.
Yeah, and I get to tell people that,
Yeah.
So it's it's kind of pretty amazing. I don't know.
Not is it kind of it is. It is amazing. Also for you, Morgan, as well. What how did it feel day one after treatment?
I have a really bad memory. I have depression related memory loss, but I do know, like, in general, at that time, I was just in such a place of humility and just desperation and willingness because people around me were dying. I was in really bad health. My family was disappointed in me. I didn't have anything to show for myself. So I was just kind of in this place where I was low, but I also knew that, like, if I worked hard, I could have a bright future and I could have a good life. But I was always pretty optimistic. I mean, even the times that I went to treatment and I wasn't successful afterwards, I always wanted it. I always wanted to be sober. And I was always like, had a positive outlook on things, but it just creeps up on you in ways that, like, you would never see coming or imagine. But for me, it was, I mean, obviously, like, you're excited whenever you get out of treatment because you have your freedom again, but it can be scary too. Like, I didn't trust myself. And I lived in sober living for like a year and a half with other women that were sober and doing the same thing. And that was really helpful. The support group and all of that helped me get through the fear and it's the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been sober since I was 14 years old. So, like, what does that look like?
All this time that you've just been doing the same thing, and then all of a sudden it's like things got to change, and change is hard. Change is always, I think as humans we're so used to like wanting the comfort, and then getting out of that, that's crazy. Um, can I ask you guys how long you've been sober?
I have 9 years.
9 years
Mm-hmm.
sober.
I have 6 years. I'll have 7 next month.
That's beautiful. And I know that like sometimes I see like you kind of like celebrate almost like a birthday. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think it's wonderful just being like, look at all these years that are accumulating, like how much better your life keeps getting every year that keeps going. Um, so some of my final questions are, with mental health and like just because a lot of these things are like it's tied in with mental health. And I think something that really helps people, even just like at home, it's like, doing self care. Self care is like super, super important to like love yourself, to like look within. Um, even if something as simple as taking a little bubble bath. Like I personally love to draw and paint, and art therapy is something that I truly like to do at home as my self care. What's like a something of like self care that you like to do?
Music. I love music. So I'll like put on some music, clean the house, get everyone out of the house. Have some time to myself. I like to cook, so that's something that I do. And I don't know, put on a face mask and just tune the rest of the world out.
Yeah. Stuff like that that really like recharges your batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Sleep.
I laughed
I like to sleep. No, like resting. I'm definitely into the bubble baths. Definitely a bubble bath girly. I like to take care of myself. I like to get my nails done, but that's all like kind of superficial. It does help me though, because I find whenever I feel like I look good on the outside, it makes me feel good on the inside, and I'm more confident. But the way to really recharge my battery is to be around people that I love and that love me unconditionally too. And just that's what recharges my energy. That and sleep, like I said. Yeah, sleep. You can never beat sleep, but but yeah, I would say like, or like a little vacation, like a getaway, like we're all stuck in this simulation of 9 to 5, work, work, work,
Yeah.
school, 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 mom, mom, mom. So for me, like a little vacation where I'm able to get away from those things is really important for me to incorporate. And even at night, like now I have a 16-month-old, so she goes to sleep at like 7, and those 3 hours that I get between 7 and 10 to just like be in silence and
Amazing.
just not have to worry about anything. It's just, you just couldn't imagine how important that is to
Quiet
me.
time. Quiet time.
Yeah, it is. But I also like music too. I go to a lot of concerts and stuff like that. Music is definitely therapy for me.
Sound healing. We like sound healing.
Sound healing,
Reiki.
breath work. I've done a lot of breath work stuff. Being in nature or water is very healing. I won't go in the ocean, but other water is fine.
She doesn't like sharks.
I'm scared.
Oh, yeah.
Not today.
Don't worry, no sharks for you. Thanks so much, guys, for joining my podcast today and just talking a little bit about your experiences, your before and after. I think the last thing I would say, I know we've kind of briefly touched on the advice question, but I think like at the end, if you don't mind looking into the camera and just kind of giving your 2 cents. If you have something to take away, to give to someone who is seeking treatment, or really just anything that's on your mind, if you want to share.
You go first.
It could be advice. It could be anything interesting going on with Centric.
So I guess I would say, whenever you're first coming in the rooms or in recovery, you hear all these like corny sayings and, people talk about how amazing life can get. And I don't think I ever really believed it because I hadn't been happy in so long. And to now, like, look at my life now and to look at my life then, I just wish that I would have gotten it so much sooner. I wish I would have gone to treatment and done it right the first time and not put myself through all this extra pain and suffering that I didn't have to go through, because the things that I've accomplished in the last 6 years of my life is incredible. I would never would have imagined that I would be where I'm at today. And that's only because, I just took suggestions and did the next right thing and allowed people to lead me whenever I didn't know what I was doing, because we don't know what we're doing, most of us. So I think that I would just have to say, not to waste any more time. That's my biggest thing. I just wish, I see all these young kids coming into treatment like 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like I wouldn't have dreamed of being sober at that age. Yeah. But the sooner you get sober, the sooner you can start building your dream life and, all of those things that you want, you can have. And I never really believed that. But as time goes on, the promises keep coming true.
Yeah.
And I keep leveling up and hitting different um, milestones and things with my career and my personal life and having a kid. And there's just so many layers to life that you haven't discovered yet, you know? So it's just, all I can say is that it's worth it, to give up everything to be able to create this new life, and all the people you'll meet. That's a big part of it too, all the people that I've met, like so many incredible people that I wouldn't have met if I wasn't sober, and being able to impact other people's lives. In my opinion, our purpose on earth is to love and to be loved. So, um, whenever you're in a whenever you're in active addiction, it's hard to do that. I mean, I still loved other people, obviously, but now it's such a great capacity that I'm able to share that with people. And I think that I just would want everyone to know that you're capable of that too. You know, we're not aware of like how big our impact can be on someone, from one like small decision or choice to get sober or not. So, yeah.
I would say just give yourself a break and put the bat down, and just know that recovery is possible, and it just gets better and better every year. You know, I never knew that I wanted the things that I have today. You know, um, I don't know. It's endless, the amount of like happiness and just joy that life brings me today. So, yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Um, so, for anyone out there who is seeking treatment, I am going to leave all the contact information. Might even do a little like editing thing here, make it funny. I don't know, pop it on top of like your heads, like the yeah, put the phone number above your head, and that's editing me. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I will leave the phone number and all the contact information. Again, if you are seeking treatment today, don't wait. You have a story. These lovely ladies have a wonderful story to share, and I think that recovery is 100% possible. All you have to do is just call that phone number, email, look at our website, and just know that we're here to help. Thanks.